In this video, we will learn about plant tissues. Plant tissues are mainly divided into two groups. The first one is meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. First, let us learn about meristematic tissue. In our body, growth is uniform. That means all parts of our body grow uniformly. But in plants, growth is observed only in certain regions. The reason for this is the tissues that are responsible for the growth in plants are located only in certain parts of the plant. This special tissue is called meristematic tissue. Do you know the locations of meristematic tissues in plants? The meristematic tissue of plants is classified into three types depending upon its location. They are 1. Apical meristem, 2. Lateral meristem, and 3. Intercalary meristem. Apical meristem. This meristematic tissue is present at the tips of stem and root. This apical meristem helps the stem and roots to increase their growth in lengthwise. Second one, lateral meristem. This meristematic tissue is found in the cork cambium and vascular cambium of plants. This lateral meristem helps the plants to increase their girth. Now the third one, intercalary meristem. This meristem is mostly found in the monocot plants like grass. Intercalary meristems are found at the base of the leaf and at the node. Now let us see the characteristics of meristematic tissue. The cells of the meristematic tissues are very active. The cytoplasm of meristematic tissue is very dense. It has a big, prominent nucleus, and the cell wall is thin. Generally, plant cells possess big vacuoles, but if you observe the meristematic cells, they do not have any vacuoles. Do you know the reason why the meristematic cells do not have a vacuole? If you know the answer, please write it in the comment section. Now, let us learn about permanent tissues in plants. Do you know how the permanent tissues in plants are formed? We learnt about meristematic tissues. Meristematic tissue is the dividing tissue. That means the cells of meristematic tissue divide continuously. If these cells stop dividing, then they take up a specific shape and a specific job and forms the permanent tissue. So, permanent tissue. Do you know what is differentiation? The process in which unspecialized cells becomes specialized cells. We can compare the unspecialized cells as the students of a medical college or university. After they graduate, they may take up a specialization and becomes a specialist. In the same way, the young, immature, unspecialized cells like meristematic cells get differentiated into permanent tissue with specific functions. So, the process of young, immature, unspecialized cells taking up a permanent shape, size, and a specific function is called differentiation. Now let's see the simple permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue is of three types. 1. Parenchyma, 2. Collenchyma, 3. Sclerenchyma. First, let us learn about parenchyma. Characteristics of parenchyma tissue. The cells of parenchyma tissue are thin-walled. They are living cells. They are loosely packed and thus there are large spaces between the cells of this tissue. Do you know the functions of parenchyma? The cells of parenchyma tissue present in the leaf consist of chloroplasts and performs photosynthesis. In such cases, this kind of parenchyma is called chlorenchyma. Number 2. Parenchyma stores food. The pulp of the fruits is nothing but parenchyma tissue. Hence, it stores food. Number 3. Parenchyma makes the plants float. In aquatic plants, large air cavities are present in parenchyma, which helps the plant to float on water. This parenchyma is called aerenchyma. Next, we see another type of simple permanent tissue called collenchyma. Characteristics of collenchyma. The cells of collenchyma are living cells. They are elongated cells with irregular thickenings at the corners. The intracellular space between the cells of collenchyma is very less. Now let's see the functions of collenchyma. It gives flexibility to the plant parts like tendrils and stems of climbers without breaking. It also provides mechanical support. Next, we see the third type of simple permanent tissue, sclerenchyma. Characteristics of sclerenchyma. The cells of sclerenchyma are long, narrow, and dead. The cell walls are thickened due to the presence of a compound called lignin. Due to thick cell walls, there is very less space or no space inside the cells. This tissue is located around the vascular bundles in the stems and in the veins of leaves. It is also located in covering of seeds and nuts. The covering on the coconut, that is the coconut husk, is made up of sclerenchymatous tissue. Let's see the functions of sclerenchyma. It provides mechanical strength to the plants. This tissue makes the plant and its parts hard and stiff. This is about the simple permanent tissue in plants. Now, let us learn about epidermis. Just like how our bodies are protected by skin, the plant bodies are protected by a layer of cells called epidermis. So, epidermis is the outer protective covering of a plant. How does this epidermis looks like? In most cases, the epidermis is single layered. It is mostly flat and it forms a continuous layer without any intracellular spaces. Do all plants have same type of epidermis? No. The plants that need extra protection, they have a different epidermis. The epidermis of plants living in extreme dry habitats, like cactus, they have a thicker epidermis with multiple layers. This thicker epidermis prevents the loss of water. Which parts of the plant are covered by epidermis? All parts of the plant are covered by epidermis. But there is a difference between the epidermis covering the shoot system and the epidermis of root system. What are the special features of epidermis present on the aerial parts of the plant, that is, the shoot system of the plant? The epidermal cells of the aerial parts of the plant secrete a waxy, water-resistant layer on their outer surface. This waxy layer is called cuticle. It protects the plant parts from excess loss of water, mechanical injury, and from parasitic fungi. Epidermis present on the leaf has small pores here and there. These pores are called stomata, and each stomata is protected by a pair of kidney-shaped guard cells. Do you know the function of this stomata? This stomata has two functions. 1. Stomata are essential for exchange of gases, and 2. They help in the process of transpiration. How are the epidermal cells of root system? The epidermal cells of roots bear long hair-like structures. These hairs greatly increase the total absorptive surface area. That means these hairs helps to absorb more water. In big trees, the epidermis on the stem surface is replaced with dead cork cells. These cells have a chemical called suberin, which prevents the entry of water and gases into the stem. This is all about the epidermis in plants. Now, let us learn about complex permanent tissues in plants. Do you know what is the difference between simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue? Here are two flower bouquets. Can you spot the difference between them? Yes, bouquet A is made of same kind of flowers and bouquet B is made up of different type of flowers. In the same way, simple permanent tissue is made up of similar kind of cells, whereas the complex permanent tissue is made up of more than one type of cells. Even though there are different types of cells exist in one tissue, they all work together for a common function. The complex permanent tissues in plants are of two types. 1. Xylem and 2. Phloem. What are the features and functions of xylem tissue? Xylem consists of tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Tracheids and vessels are tubular structures that have thick cell wall. When these cells mature, they become dead cells. Xylem tissue transports the water and minerals from roots to different parts of the plant. Xylem parenchyma stores the food, and the xylem fibers, they give support to the plant. What are the features and functions of phloem tissue? Phloem is made up of 5 types of cells. They are sieve cells, sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Sieve tubes are tubular cells. Their cell walls are perforated. Phloem fibers are dead cells. Remaining all phloem cells are living cells. Transports food from leaves to other parts of the plant. Xylem and phloem join together to form a vascular bundle. These two are called as the conducting tissues of plant. This is all about the complex permanent tissue.